Words, let's talk about a table. Here's what I say to you guys when I teach this lesson. You guys are lucky because you're kind of smart and you have common sense, right? So if I were to give you, most of you at least, right? If I were to give you a table that said, okay, X is my time, and we're going to call it number of hours, and Y is my cost. I could give you some fancy story about, all this stuff. If you look in the book, actually what it is the example is called the Internet Cafe. So this book was in 2004 when the internet was just starting to get big and there was not Wi-Fi everywhere, believe it or not. So they used to have these places called the Internet Cafe, meaning you would go there and you would sit and order coffee and then you would pay to use their Wi-Fi. Yeah, I know, crazy idea, right? As a mom whose kids are 22 now, when we wanted to go to Chuck E. Cheese and get them running around, it was nice to have my computer to work on while they played. Well, you had to pay for it, right? And it wasn't now you have Wi-Fi in your car. It's everywhere. You guys, it makes me sound so old to say back in my day in 2000. So there are these places called Internet Cafes. And if you stayed for 2 hours, you ended up having a $7 Wi-Fi bill or internet bill. If somebody was there for 4 hours, their Wi-Fi cost by the end, in addition to their coffee, was $14. Someone who stayed for 6 hours ended up paying $21. That is all the information you guys get. And they're not going to come out and say, what's the rate of change? They're going to say, what is the cost per hour for 1 hour of internet service, right? So, actually, I'm going to show you something really cool today. So this is your table, and it's still, everything we do is whatever the change in your, actually, if you don't want to do it that way, if that is confusing to you, you're like, why is she writing a triangle every time? That's a delta. So this means the same thing. Subtract the y's, subtract the x's. Okay, so what is the change in my x value? According to this table, it's going up by 2 hours. And for every 2 hours that my hours goes up, my cost goes up 7. So how much is this place charging for 1 hour of internet usage? $3.50. Agreed? Okay? Because look, I want you to take not 7 divided by 2, not 14 divided by 4. I want you to take the change in y and divide it by the change in x. You'll see why later. So guess what? You don't get to just tell me the rate of change is 3.5. It's an application problem. What does 3.5 represent? It represents that you pay $3.50 for 1 hour of internet usage. That is you explaining what that number actually means. Do you understand that? Okay? Let's do another one. And this one's going to be vertical. So you're going to have a vertical table. You need to get used to both of them. Okay, so if we have any runners out there, what's a good mile time? Good mile time, probably anything under 6 minutes or so for boys. Even for girls, it's, 6 minutes, right? Okay, so here, this is not a runner. This is a walker. Not even a jogger. This is a walker. So if x is going to be my number of minutes, and this is y is going to be my number of miles, I have a person who went walking for 30 minutes. And in 30 minutes, they went 1.5 miles. Okay? They're not somebody who could probably do 1.5 miles in 10 minutes, right? They're walking, okay? And then they walked for a whole hour and they covered 3 miles. They left their house and said, I'm going to walk for 60 minutes. I'm not going to stop until 60 minutes hits. Ooh, I walked 3 miles. And so can you guess if they went walking for 1.5 hours, how many miles they'd go? Probably you could figure 4.5, right? Okay. This is assuming that they are either walking at the same rate or about the same rate on average. They don't start sprinting for the last mile. Then that wouldn't be 4.5. It would be something lower than 4.5, right? Okay. How many miles per 1 minute? How many miles per minute is this person walking? I'm not asking you rate of change. I'm saying How many miles per minute? Well, every 30 minutes that goes by, every 30 minutes that went by, they covered another mile and a half. Another mile and a half. Once you get these red numbers on the edges, you have everything you need as long as you divide the right one by the right one. And that is where this little guy comes in handy. So which one goes on top? Man, wouldn't it be nice if the first one went on top and the second one went on bottom? That's what we usually think, right? No, it's the change in your y. So it's going up by a mile and a half for every 30 minutes. And when I divide that, I get that. Yeah, that's your rate of change, but tell me what it means. There are people who can find that out, but people who don't know what it means. What does it mean, Evan?
It means you walk to 0.05 miles every minute.
Very good. Every minute that goes by, every 60 seconds, you went 5% of a mile, which isn't far, but you're not sprinting. You're not jogging even. You're walking, okay? So I can cover 5%, and you don't need to make it 5%. You could just keep it 0.05, 500ths. You could say are 500ths of a mile in 1 minute. That's what that means, okay? So everybody understand that, because I'm going to show you one more type of problem. And this one, you're going to notice right off the bat, something is a little off with it, okay? So let's say, you guys got this written? Okay? Let's do this one. Let's say hours again. Let's say cost. And let's say 4 hours cost 90. Doesn't even matter what this is for. It could be anything. 5 hours costs $112.50. 7 costs $157. And 10 costs $225. Okay? Like, you need to be able to look at this and know exactly what to do to find how much per one. It doesn't matter if I'm talking about out rental for a canoe or people at a wedding reception. It's 4 hours, costs 90 something. So, what is the difference in my Y's? What is the difference in my X's? So, what do you notice right off the bat? Yeah. Right, that's the first thing that you notice. Up here, all my red numbers were 2s, or 7s, or 30-30, or 1.5, 1.5. So right off the bat, something else is going on. This went up by 1, and let me tell you what, this is going to happen more than the other one, so make sure you're listening. Yeah, and actually I didn't mean it for it to go with that pattern, but so it could go up 1, it could go up 5, it could go up 7. So I'll save you some calculations here. So to figure out how much it went up, I basically, I just subtract 112 minus this, minus 90. So that's going to give you 22.5. From this to this, the difference there is 45. And from this amount to this amount, the difference is 67.50. So now what you're thinking is, what do I do with those numbers? You pick a set. And by a set, I mean these two, or these two, or these two. And you find that y divided by that x. And this y divided by this x, and so on. And what do you think I should get for all three? The same, okay? So, and actually, in a minute, I'm going to see if somebody can help me figure out how you can already tell right away without having to do a lot of this. So if I obviously divide 22.5 by 1, I get 22.5. 45 divided by 2. 67.5 divided by 3. It's all 22.50. So my rate of change, don't call it slope, don't call it unit rate, my rate of change, that's the name of it for today, is $22.50. Because I didn't really give you any background, all you need to do is say it's $22.50 an hour. That's it. Per 1 hour. So, hey, I could point this out. Could I do the change from 4 to 10 and 90 to 225? Could I do that? I could pick any 2 points I want. As long as I take the difference in that and divide it by the difference in the or the y divided by the x, okay? So watch when you're doing a table for that. This right here is a huge hint, isn't it? That's it. I really, and let me point this out. If you're doing this, what if you calculated this wrong? What if you accidentally subtracted these two wrong and you didn't double check it with these and that was 2350 and you put 2350? You should double check it with the others. They should all match up, okay? So are you good with rate of change from a table? Okay. Next, we're going to talk about